I used to weigh myself multiple times a day. I'd weigh myself as soon as I got up, before and after going to the toilet, before going to bed, and with and without clothes. It was getting silly. Despite my incessant weigh-ins, my weight had plateaued a few months ago. I wasn't seeing any significant muscle change, and my diet was hit and miss with frequent slip-ups. So 4 months ago, I stopped weighing myself completely. And this morning, I weighed myself at home again to see what my weight was. And I was shocked to find out I had gained nothing. My weight was exactly the same. In this video, I want to talk about why I stopped weighing myself, how the scales sabotage my weight loss efforts, and what I do instead of weighing myself now. I'd love to say that I stopped weighing myself because I realised it wasn't healthy for me, that it hindered rather than helping my efforts to hit my body fat percentage goals, that I did it to help myself become more in tune with my own body and how I looked rather than relying on some numbers on a scale. But I didn't. It turns out that those scales you have at home may not be as accurate as you think. I've been on a bit of a mission to get to 15% body fat, and the scales at home consistently told me I was hovering around 21%. Despite having joined a gym last year, being consistent with my workout routine, and even trying keto for over a month, my body fat percentage just wasn't going down. It was really weird. I was looking at myself in the mirror and I could see noticeable changes in my body. The fat on my belly was reduced, I looked more toned and muscular, yet the scales showed little change. I looked back on the data on the Renpho app that showed my daily weigh-ins for the last couple of years and I spotted something. When I weighed myself back on May 3rd, my weight was 78 kilos and my body fat percentage was 22.7%. And when I went back to every time in the past 2 years I'd weighed myself and the result was 78 kilos, the body fat percentage was always 22.7%. I knew this couldn't be right because my weight 2 years ago may have been the same as now, but I was down 2 inches on my waist. I was noticeably leaner and I had more muscle. So I paid for a more detailed weigh-in at my gym, Tanita Body Composition Analyzer. It showed almost the same weight as my at-home scales, but a body fat percentage of 15.1%. It turns out I'd been secretly fulfilling my goal. My Herculean efforts at the gym and getting into ketosis had already worked, and my scales at home just didn't show it. From that point on, I'd never weigh myself at home again, apart from just now to see what I weighed when I was filming this video. When I stopped the incessant weigh-ins, it made me feel a bit uneasy at first. I was so used to doing it. It was like I was sort of out of control of everything. How did I know the impact of what I was eating on my weight? After a few days, I came to realise that I had no reason to worry at all. In fact, it made me step back and really analyse just how much the scales had been making things worse for me for so long. And here's why. I used to weigh myself just before going to bed. I had an idea of what my weight should be, as it usually was always a kilo or so less in the morning. If I had a surprisingly low result going to bed, I'd get all excited, knowing that it would mean a lower result the next day. And when it did, I didn't always just take the win. I used it as an excuse to indulge a little bit more on that day. I'd lost some weight, so now I can go and get some cake. I was using the scales as a justification for my bad behaviour, the behaviour that was holding me back from achieving my goals, and this had happened for years. The problem was when it came to weighing myself, I was guilty of short-termism. The scales fluctuate massively for us over the course of a day or a week, but I was looking at a result here and there and taking it as gospel for justification of my bad behaviour. Or when the result was not as good as I expected, it put me in a bad mood for the rest of the day. And I felt like I had let myself down. But based on how accurate my scales were in showing my body composition, it may have been that I simply had a little less to drink that day, or a little more. I'm not trying to say here that the scales didn't help me to lose weight, because I did lose over 40 pounds. I went from my heaviest weight down to my lightest weight by weighing myself every day. What I'll never know is how would my journey have gone if I had weighed myself weekly instead, monthly, or not at all. Could I have lost weight faster? I think in hindsight, I would have done better had I weighed myself weekly rather than daily. I would have seen the numbers move in the right direction rather than the micro up and down changes every 24 hours that alter my daily behaviour. But once I'd hit my goal, that below 12 stone mark that I wanted to achieve, I found myself almost for a year just going up and down slightly and having my cake. What I really needed to do was to stop having my cake and realize what my actual long-term goals were in terms of my health. None of those goals have anything to do with weight. I'm very conscious now of how my clothes fit me and how I look in the mirror. I can see where I've gained muscle, where I've lost fat, where I still have a bit of fat left to lose, and how I feel. I'm pretty simple when it comes to clothes, and I actually wore the same pair of jeans nearly every day for the first 4 months of this year until it got a bit warmer. And when you're wearing the same thing every day, it isn't hard to notice when things start to feel a little looser or tighter. Recently, I bought a pair of trousers in the sale, and they only had them left in a 30-inch waist. I tried them on, and they actually fit. I have to wear a belt now with my 32-inch trousers, and if you'd have said to me a few years ago that I'd be a 30-inch waist one day, I wouldn't have believed you. I just would not have believed you. I eat the best food possible as often as I can. I'm not perfect, but I am way, way better than I was compared to when I weighed myself. If we go out for a meal, I can often feel its effect on me. That burger and chips on holiday I had, I know it's not good. I don't need the scales to tell me that. So I can try and be a bit better for the next meal. I don't indulge and go out for cake anymore like I used to. I've ended that addiction, for now at least. But the scales really did fuel that addiction, justifying my indulgence by showing me a number. Well, my justification has been taken away, and when my focus is on putting the right nutrients and food into my body, on building up my strength and tolerance at the gym, or how I'm actually feeling every day, what does it matter what the scale says? Weight is a lot like calories. It's really just a number that doesn't tell you the full picture. I found great success by ignoring calories when I lost weight, and you can find out all about that in this video here next.